Yo, what is up, guys? I'm back with another video for my YouTube. I know there's a bunch of new subscribers as well, so I just want to thank you guys for supporting me, helping me out. Thanks to Zigzag's video, I got a lot more exposure, so that's awesome. Thank you so much to all of you, all the new subscribers, all of my old subscribers as well. Today, I have something more along the lines of what I've been doing in the past. So I took that 7 month break. Now I'm back, and me and a couple of people, a whole squad of people, managed to get a 179 streak on AI generated world no move, and that's currently the first place world record. And we did it in a Discord call because my internet was failing on Twitch. So I just wanted to possibly go over the footage and explain some of our guesses here. Yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Let me lower the volume here so I don't hear any feedback as well. All right, here we go. All right, so AI generated world. We lost on a bots where I went ESWA there. This one's pretty easy, Brazil. As you guys can see, we did have that that poll. Let's go back into it here. We did have this poll here. These polls are obviously Brazilian polls, so we can easily send Brazil. Got to be ready to pause quickly, I think. All right, so this one I did notice it's a little bit weird. Doesn't look like we're particularly in a car, so it should be some official trekker coverage. And we see these poles here, look like Madagascar poles to me, and this kind of trekker, and with like the sandiness of the environment, the tropicalness of the environment, should be Madagascar here. So yeah, I choose the wrong city, but it does end up being Madagascar. And then here just looks very tropical. So I automatically, my mind went to New Zealand. Sun is in the north. So we can say we're in the southern hemisphere. Yeah, and then that sign there, as well as the blue sign on the pole, also look New Zealand. Couldn't really figure out which town this was, but yeah, we just ended up plonking. And it is to the west of Hamilton. This one is low cam. We can see some Japanese characters here as well. And we have this Japanese pole, so those vertical stripes are going to be Japanese stripes. So we just are in Japan. And I go for an island just because it is AI generated world, and the AI tends to pick more island locations, so yeah. Okay, here I do see the double solid white lines first, and with this generation 2 camera ring, usually a good indication that we are in Greece. Greece is most commonly has these double white lines. So yeah, like that one was an island. That's just typical AI generated world. Here it looks like Kyrgyzstan just from the initial look. Kyrgyzstan has a lot of fall-winter coverage, so you'll see these trees are in like fall, already turning red and yellow. And then we have this lake here, so we should be near the huge lake in Kyrgyzstan. And I just pan around to check, and we're actually on the other side because I don't know how to read a compass. So first thing I notice here is these blue water tanks. That's usually an indication that we are not in Mexico. Mexico usually has black water tanks most of the time. And then we have this pole here with this yellow, black, alternating sequence, and that's mostly a Colombian thing. And I just pan around to make sure. But yeah, Colombian pole again. You see me circle that. So we should just be in Colombia here. Yep. I'm just confirming with the other people in the call, I believe, is what's happening here. Nice. Okay, and then this one, pretty clear Taiwan, so we have these diagonal stripes, alternating black and yellow that are going down to the ground, and that is in Taiwan. We also have a Generation 4 blue car here, for any Generation knowers. And yeah, should just be easy Taiwan. So I send. All right, so this one initially looks like Thai to me. These chevrons are definitely in Thailand. We have this black and white striped like light post that usually are in Thai locations. And yeah, with the Gen 4 camera, we do end up going Thailand, and it's all the way up there, west of Chiang Mai. So this one was a little bit confusing because Poland's usually not as hilly. But yeah, we do have a Polish pole there at the spawn. That leaning double holy pole. So we should be in Poland. And I thought we were somewhere closer to Slovakia or Czechia because it is more hilly. But I think this one ends up being near... oh, no. Okay, it is on the border of Slovakia. So, yeah. Good guess there. This one is Generation 4. A little bit suspect, but that appears to be an Argentinian pole there. And with those mountains, we should be in the Salta area. And then this one, we do have Italian bollards here. Looks so much like Austria, but I guess it's just the Carpathians or something. Just the Alpine mountains in the background. And yeah, we do have an Italian sign there, so it should just be Italy. All right, so this one, I do notice the fall coverage first, so I immediately thought Croatia. Looking at these houses, they could also be plausibly Croatian architecture as well. And yeah, I think this one was pretty straightforward. It's just kind of knowing the fall coverage, knowing what types of houses you're looking for in this situation, and it should be in this middle part between Bosnia and like Slovenia in this little pathway area there. Let's see where it ends up being. I'm not sure why I plonked there. Okay, I think it's because somebody in call told me it was in that area. So that's why I plonked there. I would have went where I said I would have went, but the person in call told me, yeah, and that was correct. Shout out SaveTheSnail. So this one we do have some Turkish pavement. I talk about this pavement all the time. So these kind of cobblestone looking brick things are mostly in Turkey. And then doing a little panning, we can see that we have no antenna with a Gen 3 camera. Just in general, it confused me a little bit at the start. I think I said something along the lines of Peru at the beginning, but noticing the pavement and the language on the truck, as well as, yeah, this here as well, should just be Turkey. So we go Turkey, and it's correct. All right, so this one looks like another Kyrgyzstan round. Yeah, so we do have the car once again. We should just be in Bishkek, but I end up plonking Jalalabad, I think. Yeah, it's just Bishkek. All right, and this one is quite interesting. So we do make out some bollards there. So those look like Czechoslovakian bollards. So they're the white bollards with the orange, 2 orange horizontal stripes in the middle. And then we can kind of see a sign here. And I believe that would be a Czechian sign just because the arrows are outside the sign. According to Dustin, those arrows are in Czechia and not Slovakia. So pretty sure we're just confirming Czechia here with the crew. And yeah, we are sending. Nice. All right, so here does look like some America. So we do have the road work ahead sign here, which I think I've only seen in America as well. At this initial pan here, NMPZ, it kind of looks maybe South African, something like that. And the sun is a little bit weird. It looks like it's to our east here. But yeah, seeing that sign behind us made me pretty confident it was in the Texas area or something like that. Just somewhere along the Mexican border because it was so dry. Yeah, this one just ends up being Spain. So we do have some Spanish there on the sign, all white lines, and we have a thick border on the speed sign there. Thick red border, so that pretty much indicates Spain. All right, so here we have double yellow lines, usually indicative if we are in the northern hemisphere of USA or Canada. And looks like we are in the US, just because in general, don't know where in Canada would look like this. These houses also architecturally look more US. I think we end up going somewhere in Tennessee, Kentucky, okay. Yeah, and it just ended up being Missouri Mark Twain National Forest, and I think I make a comment about that. Yeah, so this one, very epic rock structure behind us. So that really should indicate Norway, as well as these long dashes here. So yeah, 2 clues pointing towards Norway. So we're going Norway. Yeah. Very cool. So that brings us to 20. All right, and then this one, immediately environment looks like Botswana. And and we can see kind of by these bushy trees, very flat as well, and this grass growing along the side of the road, very common in Botswana. The roads in general are actually quite good quality, so yeah, those are all clues for Botswana for me. This one, so we do have antenna here, and this actually is confusing to some of us in the call because we can't really place where in Australia this is. We can definitively say it is Australia though because of this antenna. Although it kind of does look like South America a little bit when we spawned in. This antenna is never in any South American countries. So yeah, initially when I spawned in and disregarding the antenna, kind of looks like Brazil, not gonna lie. But yeah, we can see the sun is in the north as well, so we can narrow it down to Australia. We see a blue plate there. I think SaveTheSnail was a little bit confused as to what this could possibly, or like which state it could possibly be in Australia. So we end up going Western Australia. I forget if it's right or not. I'm doing a lot of panning here, but yeah, I think it's just because SaveTheSnail was confused. He wanted to get the right state as well, so. Yeah, so it is just near Perth. So good call by Mikey, aka SaveTheSnail. This one, so these I was told by people are Canadian train crossing signs. I think these, I'm not entirely sure what specifically made them Canadian, but with this winter coverage as well, it should be in the Ontario area. Wooden signposts are also a good indication that you were in Canada most of the time, at least. Yeah, so it looks like another Australian round. We do have that antenna. Looks like Generation 4 camera as well. And then we're just trying to figure out where to go. To me, I think I said it did look like Melbourne. Just from the general feel and look to it. But I think we ended up going Sydney. But yeah, it was just Melbourne. So yeah, we do have Gen 4 camera. Those bollards are obviously Austrian, Slovenian, and also in Montenegro as well. But with the Generation 4 camera, the blue car, it can only be Austria. So yeah, pretty easy Austria here. Nice. So that brings us to 25. And here we look around. Yeah, so that is a tie pole. So the tie poles are mostly square. We got the dots running up the side as well. So that pretty much indicates a tie pole. We also have the blue car as well, so that's Gen 4 camera. As well as these yellow lines in the middle are pretty indicative of tie as well. And we're driving left, as we can see from the cars in front of us and in back of us. So tie line, easy send. So this one is quite interesting. It does look like Generation 4 Russia to me, which they recently added. Yeah, just in general, it doesn't look like any particular European country. So Russia is the kind of odd one out here, and we decided to send in this Lake Baikal area. We noticed that this this particular map does have a lot of locations around this area as well. There's a lot of Gen 4 in this pocket here as well, so we do send in that area. Yeah, so it is on the southeast side of the lake, which makes sense. So this one, we do notice we have long antenna here. I'm not sure what this ends up being, actually. Is this just Russia again? I think it might be. We can see that this plate is fully white. There's no Eurostrip here, and that's a Russian thing as well. We see this this church also looks pretty Russian, and these houses are very Russian-like as well. I think we were considering perhaps some former Soviet countries, but I think we ended up deciding that Russia was obviously the best bet here, especially with the no strip there. And this is when one of the other collaborators, Geosteak, types in the chat and he tells me to go near Chelia. And yeah, he's pretty spot on there. So he's pretty damn good with Russia. Yeah, so first thing I notice is the German on this car here. So we should be in Germany with this Gen 2 camera. Very washed out, faded coverage. Austria obviously speaks German. Luxembourg speaks German, right? But we don't have yellow plates, so we can rule out Luxembourg. Switzerland obviously speaks German, but it's not low cam. So with the Gen 2 camera, yeah, Austria doesn't have Gen 2 camera, so it has to be Germany. Yep. Okay, this one, we do have low cam here, distinguished by this very wide blur and the back of the car here. And we're just in Japan somewhere. I forget where this ends up being. But yeah, I think I just send an island again, just because, you know, nature of the map. But I think it ends up being mainland. Yeah, it's just Hokkaido. So maybe we could have figured that out with the snow. But yeah, it's still the right country nonetheless. All right, so this one, initially, if that was NMPZ, don't think I would have got it. But yeah, we do have the Kruger National Park car here, which is in the northeast of South Africa. So yeah, this car is unique to Kruger. Yeah, I think I'm just displaying how NMPZ, it's a little bit confusing. But yeah, I just plonked there. It ends up being south. So okay, so this one we do have, let me go back a little bit. I'm going to try to pause on the antenna. So yeah. So it looks like we do have the Generation 4 car with antenna. It's a little bit blocked by this bar here, but yeah, it's blue car with antenna, which is usually in Hungary and Romania and Bulgaria, mostly in Europe. So we can kind of narrow it down to those three countries, and I do immediately circle this Hungarian-looking sign here. So this green sign, number on it, and then a white border is going to be a Hungarian sign, so we're pretty safe to send Hungary here. All right, cool. And then this one, very Uluru-like rock here. So we should just be in Australia again with the landscape. We also have some Australian ballers and Australian sign. I end up going, yeah, we're trying to figure out where this is. I was told that it is on the Northern Territory, close to the wall border, and it was. Just plonked the wrong road. This one's also low cam. We can tell by this wide blur here as well. Environment is certainly not Japanese, so it has to be Switzerland. Sri Lanka does have Gen 4 low cam, but yeah, it's obviously not Sri Lanka as well. So we can pretty safely send Switzerland there. And this one, so initial pan, we noticed that we had no antenna on the car. So that's something we keep in mind. Alongside these guardrails, it should be North Macedonia, I believe. Because Serbia would have completely flat guardrails, as I mentioned in previous videos. And then we do have an NMK bollard here as well. Kind of looks like a Turkish bollard, but yeah, it's not. Environment certainly doesn't look Turkish as well, so we can kind of rule that out. I think I'm dragging somebody into the call there or something, is what happened. But yeah, I think it should just be NMK. Initially, I was confused. Yeah, those mountains, I think we go near Skopje. Oh no, we don't go near Skopje. I was told it's near Bitola, but it ends up being near Skopje, so yeah. Cool. So yeah, these rocks were very confusing to me. Kind of remind me of the Iberian Peninsula a little bit, so either Spain or Portugal. But looking at these houses in the far northeast, when we zoom in, they look very Portuguese. Just in general, the white houses with the orange to red roofs. And then this coverage in general just looks very Portuguese. So I think we end up settling on Portugal here over Spain, simply because of the houses, the rocks here as well. As Geosteak points out, he says Portugal because of the rocks or something along those lines. So yeah, very nice. And it ends up being super far north, so a pretty close call. Yeah, so we had a Brazil pull there. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Brazil pull, so pretty easy Brazil send. We go near Manaus, I think. Yep. And it just ends up being closer to where my initial plonk was, but fair enough. So this one, white car, driving left as well, judging by the fact that you can see the back of the car here, and it's just pretty easy Saba. Just because of the hilly environment as well as these houses. I really don't think anywhere in Indonesia looks like this as well. And we have Malaysian poles here too. So, all right, so we have the Down East Correctional Facility here. and it's looking like US or Canada, obviously with English. Um, so initial panning, speed limit sign, so that really helps us because in Canada it would say maximum on the sign instead of speed limit. So we know we're in the US somewhere. I initially click in Maine. Mikey tells me to go somewhere between Minnesota and Wisconsin, but I'm pretty set on Maine at this point. It does look north, obviously. So Minnesota and Wisconsin is an understandable guess, but then Geosteak tells me to go Maine. So we end up going Maine. Yeah. All right, so initially this one just looks like Turkey. We got these snow-covered mountains here. I believe this is a Turkish pole, and these type of roads where they're like speckled like this, very wide highways as well. And then this bollard obviously is a Turkish bollard, similar to the Australian bollard. So we should just be in Turkey here. We're just panning around once, and yeah, just sending Turkey. And it ends up being further west than I expected with those mountains. But yeah, I guess you can get those mountains in a lot of places in Turkey. Huge country. All right, so this one, initially we can just see some pretty clear Hebrew along with some Arabic and English. That's a pretty good sign that we are in Israel. So we do have the yellow plate as well. So yeah, I mean, pretty easy. I go on the Palestinian border, I believe. But I think it just ends up being near Tel Aviv. I'm not sure why I clicked there, but yeah, it just ends up being near Tel Aviv. Huge traffic jam. This one, we do see some very rocky, jaggedy looking mountains in the background, and that's pretty indicative of Lesotho, I believe. Yeah. I think I spend a lot of time looking at that crossing sign, and I was asking the rest of the people in the call, hey, I've never seen this crossing sign before, but yeah. I mean, the environment is just so rocky, not a lot of trees around on those hills as well, so it should just be Lesotho. And we end up going near Maseru, but I think it ends up being further northeast. Yeah. All right, so this one was a little bit confusing. I think we do have Gen 4 camera here, so I'm debating between possibly North Russia and Norway. And then Geosteak tells me that this does look like that one Norwegian road, very close to Russia, but in Norway, on the border. So you'll see when we zoom in here with these mountains there. So give it a sec. Yeah. So that white road there, I initially think that's the one he's talking about, but he's talking about the one that's closer near this part here. Egmoen and all that kind of stuff. So it ends up being on that border, I believe, and I know I'm switching. We're just deliberating on whether this for sure is Norway, but Geosteak is pretty sure, and he's probably the best player in the world, in my opinion, so I always value his opinion. And yeah, him and Tribota are doing work right now, so yeah, very nice. Okay, so this one, I think my first comment was, is this the Bloody Amazon? But, you know, obviously, it's a little bit too small. So, really dumb comment by me. But it does end up being Brazil, nonetheless. Proibido, I believe, is Portuguese, because it would say prohibido in Spanish, I think, in terms of distinction. Also, we do have a Brazilian pole here, so yeah. We just end up being in Amazonian Brazil somewhere. I think this ends up being Rondônia or Acre or something like that. I end up going on the Amazon, but yeah, it's just Acre in a smaller town. And this one, these trees are quite interesting. But yes, we do have yellow center lines here, and then with these reflectors in the middle of the road, I think we just recognize that it's Florida, just in general with the landscape and stuff. I think the yellow center lines really made it quite clear to us that it was going to be the U.S. with this type of landscape and the forest there. All right, so we have some English there, Aussie Sports Bar, which is pretty interesting, but it ends up being Lao. Just panning around. We'll see the car as well in a second. So yeah, these yellow plates are also indicative of Lao, and Lao also drives on the right. And then there's huge car meta in Lao, besides in the capital. So, and we have a Lao flag here as well. But we should be in Luang Prabang. It does say Luang Prabang here, but just in general, with this tropical looking environment, it's always going to be Luang Prabang. So there's only 5 cities that have coverage in Lao. It's Luang Prabang, Vang Vieng. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Vientiane, which is the capital. Not sure if I'm saying that right either. And then we got Pak and Savannakhet. So yeah, with the greenness there, it has to be Luang Prabang. Okay, this one's a little bit confusing. Luckily, Geosteak has, back when Nordic streaks were a thing, he had the record by quite a significant margin. I forget what it was. It was like 200 something. And the Nordic streaks were just between Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. So yeah, he got like a 280 something on that, which is kind of insane, I will say. So this one, he kind of helps decipher, you know, what this is. It is Generation 2 camera. You know, this could be any Nordic country, I would say, between Norway, Finland, and Sweden. So we kind of had difficulties. So they asked me to look at the signs, just in general, some zoom pans as well. Because frankly, I have no idea. I don't think I would have been able to do this without them. I probably would have went the country that we ended up going, just because of this camera gen. As well as the snowy coverage, but you know, you can never be sure with these, so I'm thankful that I had Geosteak, Tribota, and Ada all in the call, who are pretty familiarized with the Nordics. Yeah, so he tells me to go near Koli here, but I think it ends up being further north, actually. But yeah, that was one of the national parks that he said was an option, and I trusted him, and Ada said the same thing as well. She said it could be there as well. And she is quite good at Nordics too. So I ended up trusting both of them. We're just doing a little bit more panning to make kind of sure. But I think it ends up being near, yeah, like some ski resort in the northeast of Finland. So yeah, I just go in that park. Yeah, but it ends up being that Sala ski resort there. So this one should be Virgin Islands here with this car, and I was like, hey, isn't this the South Island? Because the North Island has a red car, and they said, nah, this is the North Island. So I believe we end up sending the North Island here. Or no, I believe, okay, so the South Island has a red car, sorry. But this is definitely not Virgin Islands National Park area, so it should be the left island of the north. And we end up going the right island because that's what they tell me to go. But it just ends up being the island that I said. All right, so here, a little bit tough one, but initially I think the initial shout is Wales here with this type of coverage. So Generation 4 winter coverage, as well as this kind of like grass, I would say, is pretty Welsh looking, just in general. And yeah, we spend a good amount of time deliberating on that. There was a camera glitch there, so I circled that as well. But yeah, I think we end up going Wales here just because of this type of grass, as well as it not looking too much like Ireland, I would say. This one's kind of tough. I likely would have went Wales here, but yeah, the people in chat are very much so backing me up. I think it does kind of look like the like some of the landscape that GeoWizard might run through, you know, in his trek across Wales kind of thing, the straight line missions across Wales. So that's what it kind of struck me as initially. So yeah, we're just making sure here. I think I'm just doing some pans for everybody else to make sure. But yeah, kind of looks like so Welsh houses and Irish houses kind of look similar in a way. They're both like white, and they kind of have those brown roofs, brown or black roofs. So it's kind of tough to decipher just based off the houses. But yeah, I think we're pretty set on Wales here. Don't think we're really deliberating. We are on 48, so we're taking a bit more time. But yeah, I think it eventually we should send Wales here. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be. Let me try to skip forward. Okay, so I guess we send Northern Ireland there for the Pog factor, just in case it's Northern Ireland, but it just ended up being Wales, so yeah. Um, yeah, so this one we were debating between Australia and South Africa just with the Generation 2 camera here. Obviously that sign's I guess on the left, so it indicates left-hand drive, although that's a little bit of a poor reasoning. But yeah, the landscape just looks like it is southern hemisphere. Obviously we can't see the sun because it is overcast. Um, but yeah, I think most of us are pretty set on South Africa. I think there was one person that was doubting, so we took a little bit more time. But yeah, we do end up sending South Africa here. The environment to me looks way more South African. We were considering something like Kangaroo Island, but I think Kangaroo Island's way more dry than this. It's definitely not as green. This is obviously very dry as well, but Kangaroo Island is even more dry. So let's just skip through this. Yeah, take a lot of deliberating. But yeah, it does end up being South Africa near the renamed Port Elizabeth. All right, so here we go. We do have a yellow center line again, and we also have what appears to be some kind of American bollard here. So you won't see this in South American countries. It could be South America, obviously, with this yellow center line. But yeah, this bollard is mostly going to be in American states. Sorry, not countries. But yeah, we do have more American bollards there as well. And Geosteak says Death Valley, which definitely makes sense to me. It's so dry, I couldn't really place where this is, but with the dry mountains, and yeah, just in general, should be in Death Valley. And we get pretty damn close. Yeah, could have just put it on a road, but it was kind of tough. Yeah, so we do have French there on the sign. And we do have a double blue plate, which usually obviously indicates France. So we do end up going France here. I'm not sure what takes us so long here to deliberate, but yeah, it's just France. So I said, hey, could this be Guernsey? But or I mean Jersey, but obviously not. So it is just France. Okay, so this one we don't have antenna on the car once again. So that's a pretty good indication that we are in either Serbia or North Macedonia. But with the flatness of it, as well as this bollard here, and then the north area of Serbia, the flat part of Serbia, does have a lot of overcast and setting sun coverage. So yeah, I believe we do end up going Serbia here in the north. Perfect. All right, so this one, we see a couple Colombian crosses here, so this one's fairly self-explanatory. Yeah, pretty quick send. Colombia it is. And then this one we see slow on the ground, which is obviously in English, so it's either the UK or going to be Ireland, right? In terms of this environment, these rolling hills as well. Signs on the left, which obviously indicates left-hand drive. And then because we do have a triangle sign here and not a diamond sign, so Ireland has diamond signs, which are yellow, which are things you'll see in the US as well. Basically, those type of yellow diamond signs are in Ireland, whereas in the UK, they'll use these triangle signs, typical to most of the rest of Europe. So yeah, with that triangle sign there, you see me circle that. It should just be the UK here, and I believe I end up going Northern Ireland again for the Pog factor. I think this one does end up being, yeah, Northern Ireland, so yeah, good guess there. All right, so this one, we do see some Chinese on the building. We see this Taiwanese pole, so it's just Taiwan. Yeah, this one's a pretty quick one. Cool. And then this one looks like Generation 4 Russia. We do see some Cyrillic on that pole there. But yeah, we just end up going Russia somewhere. I think Geosteak tells me to go near Perm. Ends up being Tomsk. So yeah. This one was a little bit trippy. Once again, Generation 4 camera with the blue car. But yeah, that sign there, as well as this chevron here, I believe you'll only see in the Netherlands. So those two things, just confirming with the chat, but yeah, it's just the Netherlands here, I believe. So we can just quickly send that one. Just making sure, I guess. We are on 57, so taking a bit more time, but yeah, it just ends up being Netherlands. I think I'm more so waiting for chat feedback. So I'm not sure why I'm zooming into Utrecht and Amsterdam here, but yeah, I think we just end up sending regardless. Not sure why I'm taking so long. Okay, it ends up being near the border. So this one does look a lot like California, I will say. Just in general, looking at these huge warehouses as well. And then I was told by a Canadian that Canadians don't really have this middle turn lane, I think. Willing to be fact checked on that, but that's the meta that I've been using as well. So it's not Canada. It looks like California as well to me. Do we find a California pole at all? No, we don't. But yeah, I point out that this one does look like a California plate, so white plate with blue lettering. And then the California at the top is red, so yeah, should just be California here. I think a fellow Californian that's in the voice call says, hey, this could be San Jose area. He's from Southern California, but I've spent a lot of time in San Jose. I didn't think it was the San Jose area, but I figured that it could be. So we just went there anyway. I think it ends up being near something like Stockton. Yeah, it just ends up being the Stockton area, which also makes sense. All right, so first thing I notice are these hook poles here, and that's really a Soviet pole, I would say. And yeah, with no antenna here in conjunction, should just be Serbia. Flat part again. There's a lot of Serbian lokes on this particular map as well. In conjunction with the yellow sign there, should just be North Serbia. So just confirming with Trabota and Geosteak, because they know poles a lot better than me. They just know signs in general a lot better than me. But yeah, this architecture does seem fairly Balkan as well. So we should just be in North Serbia. Very nice. And that is 60, I believe. So this video will be going to 90, I think, because that's about halfway. So try to go quick. Yellow plate there. Dutch on the sign as well. So we should just be in the Netherlands. Another yellow plate. Yep. And somebody tells me north, so I go north, but it ends up being south of Rotterdam. And this one, we do have antenna on the side here, as you can see. And then we have the roof rack, which indicates that we are in Guam. So if you can see that roof rack, we are in Guam, but if not, then we are in Northern Marianas. The antenna is also in Puerto Rico as well, but Puerto Rico is fairly distinguishable. Cars have no license plates. They use Spanish as well, so yeah, bunch of factors. This one just looks like Russia again. We have an all-white plate there. Very Russian-style houses. So yeah, we're pretty safe to send Russia here. Somebody tells me St. Petersburg area? Or no, I think I say, hey, this looks kind of Baltic, so yeah, we end up going there. And I guess it's fairly close. This one initially does look like the Faroe Islands, I believe. Yeah, and then we do have the Faroe Islands car. So pretty quick Faroe Island send. We thought about the capital, quote unquote, but we just end up going where I placed it. And then this one, I think, ends up being actually Serbia again, right? So we have no antenna on the car here. And then, yeah, I'm not too familiar with these poles. I initially thought they kind of look similar to the Belgian poles. But, yeah, they end up being Serbian poles, according to Trabota in the chat, I believe. So, yeah, we pretty quickly, after much panning and deliberation, I believe we do end up settling on Serbia here. Yeah, just a lot of North Serbia in this map, I feel like, which is really interesting, but yeah. All right, so this one does look like Turkey. Just in general, Turkish-looking houses as well. Oh no, actually, sorry. This ends up being Russia. So I'm losing my mind a little bit. I think I'm getting rounds confused, but yeah, we have all white plates here. And then we have a black bottom to that sign there, signpost. I say, could this be Altai? But nah, it's not. So we end up sending near Durban. And I think that's where it ends up being, actually. They are very good at Russia, so. Yeah, so this one we have an Italian baller, Generation 4 camera blue car, so we should just be in Italy here. And and I click on Sicily. Looks like an island to me, just in general. But I think it ends up being, yeah, I think it ends up being Sicily, and I send Sardinia. Oh no, it ends up being on the tip of the boot, which makes sense. Yeah, so Chilean car here, this white car with the little black thing that's visible, Chile. So yeah, I think I was highlighting that pole because I don't think I've really seen that in Chile too much, but yeah. And then this one, we do have the short outer dashes, which are indicative of Sweden, so we pretty quickly send Sweden here after chat confirms. Cool. All right, so this one, I believe, we're debating between Chile and Argentina. This type of patchy grass you'll see a lot in both countries. But with the white car here, yeah, has to be Chile. Argentina would only have the black car. So I think Steek's typing and telling me which road right now. So I'm just panning for him to make sure. And I believe he gets the road right, but I just am too lazy to find it. Because I don't know. He says, like, you're going to see the road when I send, and it's going to be the exact road that he said. Like, I'm searching for the road right now, and I believe it's like 430X, 430 something. So, yeah, I get frustrated, end up sending, but he ends up being correct. But yeah, as you'll see, and he tells me it's west of El Coite. So yeah. But yeah, you can hardly see that road. He tells me it's X439 actually, so he knows the road. It's just unfortunate that I couldn't find it for him and get a good plonk, but yeah. So that is 7D. Running about 40 minutes long right now, so hopefully we'll wrap that up soon. We do have some French there, so we should be in French Canada with these yellow center lines. And those short plates, those are obviously not EU plates, so we're not in France or any other French-speaking European country. And then these poles are like wooden, so that is indicative of North America usually, as most European poles are usually concrete or some other material. But yeah, I think we were scared that it was bait because that car behind us does have a front plate. And Quebec doesn't require front plates, but I think it just ends up being, yeah, in Quebec anyway. Yeah, once again, pretty easy Netherlands here. We have all yellow plates and Dutch architecture, so we just quickly send Netherlands. This one's a little bit tougher. So we do automatically narrow it down to it being Baltic. I think we do see a tad bit of a green blur here. For those of you guys that don't know, the greens are just a little bit fuller on the camera in Estonia in general. So should just, the green blur does indicate Estonia usually. I have seen it in Latvia as well. But yeah, we just decipher that it's Baltic. And this pole actually does look Latvian. So it's a little bit confusing because they have alternating hooks here. But then Tribota tells me that there are Estonian poles behind us, these poles here. So yeah, we do end up sending Estonia after deliberation because of the green blur and because of the Estonian poles. We decide that Estonia is a safer bet. So yeah. Not sure what's going on with the recording there. Okay, cool. All right, so this one ends up being really tough for us. So you'll see a couple of these throughout the video, which I think are really interesting, because we do have a yellow center line, right? So we're deciding between British Columbia and Alaska here with these mountains. And yeah, there's just a lot of deliberation going on because it's very hard to distinguish sometimes, and there's a lot of Alaska on this AI-generated map as well. Roland does love his Alaska. So it's tough for us to determine which is which. I think we end up looking in Alaska like Anchorage area as well, because we saw that as a possibility. I forget what we send here. What actually is the... Yeah, so just a lot of zooming and panning. We're just talking about it in voice in chat right now. I end up looking near Juneau as well, but nothing really lines up. I would say. I can't find that little creek that's below us. But yeah, it ends up being Alaska regardless. So good call there from the chat. Yeah, we just get back-to-back tough rounds in a row. I think these were two of the harder rounds. Because we thought about if this could be North Idaho, maybe Montana as well as Alaska. But I think just in general, we talk about how that bollard is potentially the U.S. style bollard. But I believe this one actually is Canada. And we spend about, I want to say, 10 minutes on this round, something like that. I'm looking near this lake that's in Idaho to see if anything really lines up on the suggestion of Mikey, aka SaveTheSnail. But yeah, just a lot of deliberation here. I'm not sure if the people watching this would actually just send BC right away. We don't really know the polls either, so the polls are a bit confusing. And because there's a lot of Alaska on this map, we can't just, rule out Alaska. So yeah, I'm just fast forwarding here. We eventually end up deciding on British Columbia, and it ends up being British Columbia, so we're pretty lucky there. Very cool location, but yeah, very tough for us. And then we get another pretty tough one, but there is a sign for Zapatok in the back. And this is a pretty funny moment, actually, in voice. So the yellow sign is only going to be in Slovenia and Croatia. Just in general, with this type of landscape, these huge pine forests. But yeah. So basically, just pull out the map, scan for Zapatok. That's what I'm looking for. So it takes me a pretty long time to look for it in general. Slovenia is not too big, so it shouldn't be too bad. And then Mikey's also telling me that it could be in Croatia in, directly south of the border of Slovenia, because that part of Croatia is kind of foresty as well. So yeah, just a lot of scanning being done. I think I showed the antenna. I'm not sure why. I think they asked for it, but yeah. And then I circled a car glitched antenna there. But yeah, basically it's me scanning. I believe I find a Zapatok, so we'll see that. Let's get back to me scanning. So I'm just scanning the entire country here, zooming in a little bit more. I'm not seeing it initially. I figured it would not be in northwest Slovenia just because that area is very alpine, and the mountains are way bigger. But I end up looking there anyway, eventually, I think. So we end up panning over there after this. Yeah. And by some funny thing, I find Zapatok there. So I'm like, yeah, the road doesn't really line up here, I'm going to be honest. Because there's no continuing road going off to the north, towards the north, but I was just happy I found it at that point. I was pretty content, and the voice told me to send it, so I just sent it. And it ends up being Slovenia, but we were confused because there's Zapatok there, but then there's also another one there. So I think that threw us a bit for a loop, and we're laughing about it in voice, but yeah, it just ended up being... Just picked the wrong one, I guess. I just didn't see that one on the initial pan. Yeah, we have black car here with the Arabic, so it should just be Jordan. Pretty easy one. Yep, cool. All right, and then this one we have Aussie bollards. Just in general, this kind of coverage looks like it's Queensland coverage. Gen 4 with antenna as well. So we should be maybe up near Cairns, but we end up being near Rockhampton. This one does look like Argentina. We do have a black car here, somewhere south, very far south. And then do notice we do have hills in the background. So we should be in Comodoro Rivadavia, I believe. We do have some Arge plates there as well. A lot of Argentinian pickups, pretty common. So Steek tells me to zoom in on Comodoro Rivadavia, and For some reason, I don't notice this road here, which is much closer to the ocean and lines up a lot more better. But I end up sending on this other yellow road, which doesn't make any sense because I believe that looks split. But whatever. We just end up sending Argentina here, and it just ends up being Argentina. Yeah. All right. And then this one, we do have some Danish signs here. So these low signs, low red signs as well. And we have some Danish bollards as well. So just in Denmark. That one was a pretty quick one. And that brings us to 80. So 10 more for this video. So this one, we do have these red and white chevrons. So the white background with the red arrows. So that's in a lot of European countries, but it's also in the Philippines as well. And then with this concrete road, and the Philippines just recently added Generation 4 camera, which is this crisper color here. So yeah, just deliberating of if it's the Philippines or not, but yeah, it should just be the Philippines with this concrete road. All right, and then this one is a bit tough as well. So we do have white car here. Environment does look very Southeast Asian. So we're debating between Indo and probably Malaysia here. Maybe the Philippines, but it doesn't really look like it as much because it looks less... don't see too many palms, which would be a bit more common in the Philippines in general. I believe the consensus here is Indo, just in general, because we can't think of where in Malaysia would particularly look like this. Just in general, it would have to be likely Borneo, Malaysia, and we don't think Sabah or Sarawak look like that. So yeah, it just ends up being Sumatra. But yeah, we were pretty content on sending Indonesia there. And then this one looks like another Indonesian one. Very dry looking. Malaysia usually never gets this dry. Madura Island is the Shoutout from Geosteak, and it just ends up being East Java, so very close. This one is kind of tough. So we were a little bit confused here as well. I believe that is a French car there. Is that a Peugeot, maybe? I'm not too sure, but yeah. So initially, I thought this was something like Croatia, something along the Adriatic coast, but we do see that pole eventually. I'll zoom in on it, which is a French and Spanish pole. And then you can kind of see on this plate, it's double blue. So there's blue on this side as well, which is indicative of like something you'll see in France, Albania, or Italy, right? On the back of the plates. But yeah, where's the pole? So this is the French-Spanish pole, this ladder pole here that's segmented like this. So yeah, I believe we do end up searching most of France for this, just because we don't really see this being in Spain with the double blue. And Albania is automatically out just because of that ladder pole. Never seen that ladder pole in Albania. And then Italy wouldn't have that pole either. So we decided to look on Corsica a little bit and near Marseille, near some Marseille islands. So it's confusing because the water is toward our west here, and that doesn't really make sense for much of it. You'll see me scan Corsica a little bit. We thought this was like a bay of some sort, you know, like along the western part of Corsica, but nothing really lined up because I'm looking for a potential road that goes very close to the beach here that lines up, that goes pretty much east to west. But nothing really is lining up here. So I end up looking here, but they told me that doesn't really look like this on that part of the French coast. So I end up sending near this area in the East Coast, one of these bays there, because I guess that made the most sense to me and to the rest of the peeps. But you'll see, I mean, we obviously just sent France, Middle France, because I had no idea, and it just ends up being a lake, actually. So very cool look. And then this one, Bangladesh car. Yeah, so pretty easy Bangladesh send. And that brings us to 85. And Generation 4 camera once again. And then we do have some sunflowers here, which are primarily grown in some of the Balkan countries like Hungary, Romania, or Bulgaria. So yeah, I think with these roofs here, these very like red tiled roofs that you'll see a lot in Bulgaria, the initial shot for me and others are Bulgaria. We consider Romania as well, but Romania is very rare. I think typically you'll see mostly Gen 4 with antenna in Romania. So yeah, we end up settling on Bulgaria here. Especially also these mountains in the background look kind of, the craggy mountains look kind of Bulgarian, so. Bulgaria it is, I believe. And it ends up being near Bankso? No, it's northwest. Okay, makes sense. So language there looked Portuguese. We do have 2 Portuguese plates there with the yellow on the right side. So yeah, that crosswalk sign was a tad suspicious because I thought that there might have been 8 dashes, but yeah, we just have some Portuguese there and some Portuguese plates, so pretty easy Portugal send. And then this one, a little bit confusing. You don't usually go too far off the beaten path in the UAE, but we do have some UAE-looking architecture there, all white buildings. Hint of mountains in the background as well, a little hill. So yeah, we should just be in the UAE here. I think my initial thought was like something like weird Peru, but yeah, luckily Trabota and Geosteak, who were chatting, just said that it was UAE, so I had full trust in them, and we went UAE. And then this one with the this holy pole with the like winter coverage here that you're gonna get, you'll pretty much only see that in Hungary. You're not gonna see that in the other 2 countries that have this holy pole, so it won't be in Romania or Poland. So pretty quick Hungary send here as well, and we have the red wing mirror, which you'll sometimes see in Hungary. So. All right, and then this is the last one to get to 90. Pretty easy one here. So we have the black painted bottoms. We have a black car with long antenna as well. So we just end up going Russia, Sakhalin area. And I believe, yeah, we're just looking at the Sakhalin coast. So somewhere along that road. And I didn't line up the angle right, but yeah. All right, so that's going to be 90. I appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for part 2. I will be releasing that very shortly. So, yeah, this was a great first place record. Shouts out to everybody that was in chat. SaveTheSnail, John Harvey Kellogg, Trabota, Ada, Geosteak, and Unox. Pretty much those 6 helped me. Dustin helped as well at the beginning. So thank you so much to those 7 people for helping out. And part 2 will be coming shortly. Thanks for watching.